All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. My dog is right there with us. How are you doing? It is a wonderful Saturday where it's all muggy and disgusting outside. You can see my high-tech apparatus for which I record videos. I literally have a weight holding down a clamp that's holding down another clamp that I attach this phone onto. Nothing but the best technology in this household. Well, I can he, we're still on home. Howdy, hey, OllieX, hello, Nightcore lovers, good to have you with us. So we're just gonna have a real chill time this live stream. I'm gonna keep things a little bit more casual. You might notice I have a significant hair reduction has occurred. That's just because it got way too hot and without as muggy as it gets here in the summertime too, just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it anymore, and it was getting like really hard to handle. It was too much. It's too much. I have other things to do than to work on my hair. So, let's not waste any time. Well, it's true, you got a haircut. Yes, I did, yeah. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know how long that hair was. I had to give the person who got me my haircut a very nice tip. They had to work a lot. So real quick, before we get into the casual chilling and drawing and such, I want to show you just one thing. So, I'm a big collector of movies, TV shows, books, comic books, all that sort of thing. I have a little bit weird tastes and stuff like that, but I like to go to used bookstores. It's been pouring. Now I'm on a 2-hour drive home because we had to leave. We're here because it might have flooded. Ooh, that sounds really rough, OllieX. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, maybe this will be a way to help pass the time a little bit more quickly. I did notice last time too that I see the messages about like maybe 5 to 10 seconds after they've popped up. So just go back through the chat, and if you're wondering why I just suddenly started going off on a different tangent, it's because I just saw your message that you put into the chat. Looks like we got, what, 3 people watching? Hello, 3 people, and nice to have you with us. But anyway, I like to go to used bookstores and used DVD and movie stores to find to look for the stuff that I want, because I like the idea of kind of like going on a treasure hunt. I could just buy all the stuff that I want to on Amazon or things like that, but you get better deals if you find them in used places. Hiya, Pekka P. Nice to meet you, Pekka P. Hiya, back to ya. But you get better deals at used bookstores, and you also can support brick and mortar industries. Stream delay, things you do happen a few seconds before we see it. So wonderful. You can probably also hear the sounds in the background. It's really muggy out there, so the AC and fan are going. Bye, you leaving, Nightcore lovers? Okay, good to have you with us for as long as you were. Okay, but anyway, you get better deals at used book and DVD stores, and it's kind of like a treasure hunt, because like you never know what you're going to find there. So I've been looking for this for a long time. You can only really find a good set of it for like over $100, but I found the complete set of Monty Python's Flying Circus on DVD. You'll watch it later? Alright, I hope you will. Hope you enjoy yourself with whatever it is you're gonna go do, Nightcore lovers. Monty Python's Flying Circus, the complete 16 DVD set. I got it for, would be $50, but I had $25 trading credit, so it actually only cost me $25 to get this whole set. I love it. Okay, bye. Never heard of it, Lyric? Monty Python's Flying Circus, they're the same people that made the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, is what you would probably know them better for, but, oh yeah, again, Monty Python is a group that did that sketch comedy, British group from like started in the late 60s, early 70s, and they did Monty Python, Holy Grail, they did Life of Brian, all that good stuff. Didn't know there were that many Monty Python movies. These aren't movies, this is their TV show called Monty Python's Flying Circus. There was 45 episodes in it. Sketch comedy show, really, really funny. Check it out on YouTube. There's clips of the different sketches that they did. You should really check it out. It kind of like helped shape comedy as we know it in the modern era today. But anyway, let's get into the drawing. That's why you're here. You're not here to listen to me jaw-jack about movies and such. So, let's get this flipped around. There we go. I thought today I would do a little warm-up drawing first, because it's been quite the day for me. So I'm going to do a little sketch card drawing here. We're going to keep things simple first of all, just to make it easier on myself. You're also going to hear me do drink breaks, like just now. One thing that I noticed last time I did a stream was that it was a mistake The paper is small, yes. Yes, this is a sketch card. I got into doing these a while ago, and they're really useful to have at conventions because you're able to get a drawing out really quickly. Your Copics are dying. I was coloring in something. I can't get refills because you don't have money. Oh, OllyX, my heart is bleeding for you. Truly, really and truly, my friend. But yeah, this way you can do a nice drawing, and the small size forces me to not go into super ultra mega detail and just go over and just go overboard with it. Let's get the light going here. Where's the light switch? There we go. Ah, much better. You'll be able to see a lot easier now. Okay, so I figured I'd do a little nice drawing to get me started. I wonder how long it will take before you all can realize who it is I'm drawing. So we're going to be drawing this character from the side view. So when you're drawing a character from the side view, you can start off the same way. It was E18, E11, that's just my gray. Oh, I'm so sorry, OllyX. That sounds really rough. Honestly, I feel for you, my friend. I really do. So when you're drawing a character from the side, the only real difference between drawing them from the front or 3/4 view is that you have to account for the back of the head. By which I mean this is the jawline for this character, but the jawline should not go all the way to the back of the head. Rather, the jawline should go into only about the middle of the head, and then you need to account for the rest of it, for the entire back of the head too. So that means that the neck would probably start about here, and the front of the neck would be about here, moving out into the shoulder area right there. I have my others, but the markers gave me some good drawings in my opinion. Hey, that's really great. If there's any way that you can show them to me, I would love to see them. Okay. So again, we're going to keep things chill. I'm going to try to not jaw jack quite so much this time because I just feel like I kind of went all yakety last time, and I don't know, maybe you just want to, maybe you muted me. Maybe you muted me and just watched me draw last time. If you did, I wouldn't blame you for that. Because I kind of just went stream of consciousness on you last time, so gonna try to avoid doing that this time. Gee, I wonder who Mr. S is drawing. There's so many defining features so far. But just give me a moment. It'll all become clear very, very soon here. So I hope you all have had a good week. This was the first week of summer for me, and I'm staying home during the summer and taking care of the house and taking care of the dogs. I was fine. Well, thank you. That makes me feel better on the inside. I'm here for your commentary. Definitely miss having classes. Didn't miss having classes with me. Wait a second. I really wouldn't be able to because streaming makes a recorder app on the phone. I don't have one. I don't know how to work. Oh, that's too bad. But wait, Pekka P, you miss having classes with me. Does that mean you were one of my students? Who were you? Who are you, mysterious person? Pekka P, Yeah, occasionally my students have popped up on my videos and be like, yes, I had him in class. I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. Especially with that embarrassing video I uploaded a little while ago. He's got a little bit too high of a head. Graduated. Oh, you're Mirinda. Okay, yes, Lyric, I am drawing Deadpool. Missed your classes too, Mr. S. You were a good teacher. Wait, OllyX? Wait, you were one of my students too? Oh, oh man. I don't even know how to react to that. You'll see me next year. Who are you all? Who are you, OllyX? Oh, you didn't tell me that last stream that you were one of my students too. Now I just feel silly. You're Olivia. Oh. Oh, you're Olivia. Okay. Hello, Olivia. Well, I don't know how quite to react now. Oh, good to have you here, Olivia. Hopefully I can be of some assistance to you throughout these silly little videos of mine. But yes, we are drawing Deadpool. I figured Deadpool, you're nervous. Oh, there's no reason to be nervous. We're all friends here. We're just having a casual fun times. Don't you worry. There's no reason to be nervous about telling me. Right now, I'm just Mr. S, the weirdo who's streaming on a Saturday night on the internet. But yeah, I chose Deadpool because, you know, he's pretty simple to draw. There's not a lot to his silhouette and to his design. I actually want to make him look a little bit more like Deadpool here in the eye, so there we go. And you can be thinking of, what should he be thinking of? There we go. Thinking of good old chimichangas. Actually, that's one thing. You enjoy your streams, help out a lot when it comes to advice. Oh, well, that's nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. That makes a lot more sense now why you were talking about your Copics. Because you do love using them Copics for your cute little creatures that you draw. So, again, like the ear is going to go about right here. And then we need to have a little bit more room in the back for the head. That looks pretty much like Deadpool, so let's get him inked up. So I am going to color him here in a little while. So I'm going to be using a Copic multi-liner, specifically because these are water and Copic proof. You can see it right there. There's a lot of pens that you can buy that, for example, a really common one that you can buy is the Pigma Micron pens. Finally got some this year. Hope you can get some new ones. Yes, I hope that she can too. So Micron pens, they'll say archival ink right here, which that usually means that they're waterproof. So you can splash water on it and you won't really have much of an issue. Oh wait, this is a 0.1. That's way too big. I don't want that one. Hold on just a moment. I'm gonna pull out my trusty binder. That's full of stuff. There we go. Need to get one that was the right size. This one is a 0.3. The number on the top, in case you don't know, the number on the top of these pens dictates the size of the nib. So you can see this is a 0.3. This is a 0.1. And you can see the difference in size between them. But the one that I have pulled out, I wasn't paying attention. The one that I pulled out was a 1.0 instead of a 0.1. You can see the mega difference that would make. So when you're using pens, the way that you get different line weight is by getting pens that have different nib sizes on them. So for this one, I'm using a 0.3. This is a nice standard nib size. I like this one because it has a nice, relatively middle quality in terms of the line weight. So I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to pick out the best lines from my messy line art that I did in order to do my outlining correctly. The best way to get better at something like this is to just keep doing it over and over again. I make this look really easy, but if you've done any line art before, you can trust me. You know I'm telling the truth when I say it's really not that easy. It takes time, it takes practice. Just like anything else in life. But yeah, so with anything that says it's waterproof, you want to remember that that doesn't necessarily mean that it is also going to be able to withstand marker coloring, specifically with alcohol ink marker coloring. Waterproof does not mean marker proof. So what you're going to want to do whenever you get any kind of new pen, or if you ink traditionally with a brush or with a refillable fountain pen nib, is you're going to want to make a little guide. And by that I mean, we'll just do this real quick. So you would do a few sets of lines, just like this, depending on how many different methods you intend to put on top of your ink. So for example, I could say that this one is watercolor. I could say this one is marker. And this one, Fire Gus. Hi, Fire Gus. Good to meet you. So what you would do is you would make a little guide right here, and then you would put whatever material you intend to use with your ink over these lines after you give them a chance to dry, and you would see if they smudge or not. Most of the time, nice to meet you too, Fire Gus. I'm discussing how you can tell if a pen that you're using, if an ink pen you're using is both waterproof and marker proof. Because most of the time, if something is archival quality, it's usually waterproof, but not necessarily marker proof. So you would make a little test like this to make sure if something does or doesn't work first before. Can you say hi to my best friend? His name is Nick Gers. Hello, Fire Gus's best friend, Nick Gers. Nice to say your name to you. Hello. We are actually drawing Deadpool right now, and I'm going to be coloring him in here in a second with some marker. So I have to use my pen that is both water and Copic proof, meaning that this is alcohol ink proof and waterproof. I did not, actually. I said Nick Gers. Not the same thing. Okay, so this has had a little bit of a chance to set up and dry. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to grab my kneaded eraser and we're going to clean up my messy line work so you can actually see what the drawing underneath actually looks like. I thought about putting his shoulder in, but we don't really need to. I think this does the job just fine. Alrighty. So what we can do now is I'm going to actually pull the camera back for a second just to show you what I use to marker color. What I have is a set of Blick Studio brush markers. These are from Dick Blick's, and I believe they're only available on their website or in the actual stores themselves. I also have the Blick Illustrator markers. Same thing, basically. I mean, they're the same in terms of what they contain, but the difference is what kind of actual barrel they have. So with the Blick Studio markers, these ones are, you can see they're very rectangular, so it means you can put them down, you don't have to worry about them rolling away. These ones are rounded, but they have these little nibs here on the edges of the caps that don't allow them to roll away either. As far as I can tell, that's the only real difference. It's just in how the barrel is engineered. But I'm going to use my studio markers to color in this a little Deadpool here. So when he speaks in the comic books, he actually has yellow speech bubbles. So one thing, if you're going to be using a marker, is if you want to get into marker coloring, if you don't have the money for a Copic markers, that's totally fine. But what you do want to be aware of is what kind of tip your markers actually have. Most of the cheaper markers, you have to excuse my doggo in the background, most of the cheaper markers will not have what is called a brush tip. And a brush tip is basically just like this. It's a flexible nib that allows it to move back and forth. You can see it's got a little bit of flex to it, and it allows you to have really nice, even application of your color. The other side is a chisel tip. This is useful for getting large blocks of color on at any one time, but most people don't actually use the chisel tip. They usually stick to the brush side right here. So if you don't have the money for, the Copic markers, that's totally fine. But you do want to be aware of what kind of tip your marker will actually have. Most of the time, the cheaper ones will have just a fine liner type of tip to them, which is cool if you're going to be doing something like outlining, but it's not really going to be helping you out a whole awful lot when you actually want to go in and cover larger areas at a time, or if you want to mix colors. So when I'm coloring in this Deadpool here, one thing that I've actually learned over the years is that you actually don't want to... Okay, I'm back to watch. Nice to see you again, OllieX. So when you're coloring with any marker, you can even do this with the Crayola markers. There's no reason why you can't. Is that you don't usually want to have a complete and total coverage of the single color over the entire face, because you can have a lot more interesting effects in terms of lighting and depth to your character if you instead leave these patches of light. You can always color them in or cover them up later if they end up not working out for you. But this way you can provide a little bit of highlight and detail just by not coloring in certain spots, as weird as that may sound. What you want to think about is how the contours of the face or whatever it is that you're coloring would impact how light is traveling across it. So in this case, I left the area right along the side of the face and where the light would catch the side of the head, the ear, and the back of the neck. And since this part is going to be black here, I'm not really concerned about getting some red inside there. Oh no, whatever shall I do? But like I said, there's many different types of markers and different brands of markers that you can get. You don't always have to believe that the Copic markers should be the be-all and end-all. What those should be is what you want to strive to get better at enough in order to be able to use those. Is shading where the light source would be? Yes, that is exactly right, OllyX. Another thing you would usually want to be concerned with is where the light source would be located. In this case, I'm using a very neutral light source, as in more diffused lighting, so that we can just keep things general and controlled. But if you're trying to be a lot more restricted and controlled about what you're applying and where you're applying your tone and your lighting, then you would want to be concerned about where the light is actually coming from. That was a very good point. So we're almost done here. Another example is, instead of trying to work towards the Copic markers, you could also just try to get some Tombow brand dual brush pens. This is their line of the skin palette. You get a lot of different colors to get almost every single type of skin tone you'd want. They're another brand that is disposable. These ones are also disposable in terms of when you use up a marker, you basically just have to throw it away. Copics, the good thing is that you can buy refills for them, but again, those cost more money. So what you should do is do some research. There's plenty of videos on YouTube from many different people who are more in tune with what is a good marker and what is a good alcohol marker. I'm just speaking from my own experience. But there's lots of people on YouTube who have a really good depth of knowledge about what kind of markers work best for beginners and for intermediates and so on and so forth. What I'm actually doing right here, by the way, is I am not coloring in with a brown or with a black. This is actually a dark umber. It's much more in line with a very dark red. What I've found is that when you want to make something darker, and with any color medium, not just with marker, but if you want to make something darker, the best thing you can possibly do for yourself is to use any color that is not black. Any color that is not black will help you out immensely, because if you use just black or if you use just brown to make things darker, then what you end up doing is dulling the entire piece, because black is such a powerfully strong color that it overtakes anything that is underneath it. So instead, use any color that is darker than what you originally used, and you're going to make that whole thing look much more visually interesting as a result. So by using the dark umber here, I gave depth to him while also not taking away from what I had just done before. And in point of fact, if I want to make areas of this black darker, instead of grabbing black and just doing it again, watch what happens if instead I grab a blue. So I'm going to grab my blue and come to certain spots that I want to push further away from us visually. When something is darker, it gets pushed further away. When something gets lighter, it pulls itself closer to us. So by grabbing this blue, It makes this whole thing a little bit richer and a little bit more interesting to look at. And to finish this whole thing off, why don't I grab a light green, because yellow and green and red and green look really, really good together. I'm going to grab the chisel tip and just do some fun little background effects to Deadpool here. This is kind of more of a quote-unquote convention style piece in terms of it's something you want to get done quick but well. I join the stream, the first thing I see is chimichangas. Yes, this is the warm-up piece that I'm doing before I get to the one that I want to do. I did not catch your name, but it's good to meet ya. Looks like we got 3 people here, 25 minutes in, we're doing pretty good. Yep, this is the kind of stream that you're in for. Hope you enjoy the ride, my friend. So I think this one has pretty much finished itself up. So I will come back to the 1.0 Copic pen, give this a quick sign, and call that one good. Alright, that's just the warm-up. Let's move on to the main event. So I'm just going to do one more drawing today. Just because doing the 3 last time kind of burnt me out just a little bit, and I was already recovering from a convention that I'd done quite a few drawings very similar to this at. So we're going to keep things small. We're going to keep things fun today. Clap, clap, clap. Thank you, AliX. I appreciate that. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to let me get a drink real quick. I'm drinking apple juice, not water. Not that anyone really cares. And we're going to draw one Avatar the Last Airbender character that I still had not gotten to in all the years of doing my YouTube channel. We're gonna draw Princess Yue. I feel like she's a pretty cool character. She has a really cool design. And of course she was Sokka's love who turned into the moon. So let's go ahead and draw her. So to keep with the Avatar stylings, we have a circle, but I'm not gonna draw the circle all the way to the top because she's got that hairstyle that goes way up and then comes around in a rather interesting way. So as a result, I'm not gonna put the head right at the top because I know I need the space. She's gonna be looking this way. So let's get that drawn in for you. My doggo is being a good boy. Jordan Fluff, I changed my name. Good for you. I totally know exactly what's happening. And we're down to 2 people? That's fine. Even if just one person was watching, I'd be happy. Because that means one person may be getting something out of this experience. Okay. So Avatar noses are very simple. They're just little nubs that extend off to the side. And then the little nostril right there. I'm actually going to bring her chin a little bit further up. You two seem to be having a lovely conversation. Good for you. Just have me on the background. I got no problem with that. Drink apple juice so everyone just get jealous. Haha, I'll gladly do that right now. I can feel the jealousy. Muhahaha. Okay. So we got the basic shape established. We got the neck that's going to appear. Do you think oranges would get green with envy? Oh, that was horrible. See, that's the kind of joke that I would edit out of my video. That's the kind that I would just kind of facepalm at and then no one would ever see it again. Grape juice needs to be jealous. No, because all grape juice will do is whine. And that's gonna be on the internet forever. Great. See, this is one thing that I had not really thought about before I started doing live streaming. The fact that I can't edit any of this out, so if I say something really embarrassing, then, well, I just have to deal with it. Oh. Anyway, let's draw Princess Yue. It kind of looks like I'm drawing Aang right now. Okay, so Yue has large eyes, just like the rest of the Avatar cast do, so I'm going to go above the eye line just a little bit. And we're going to go below just a tad. We have a little lip like that. Just waste a little bit. I'm sorry. I hope you don't have this on loudly enough for anyone else to hear, because they'll be like, who is that? What are you listening to? That crazy weird man who makes himself laugh more so than anyone else. That's the thing, is that I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to humor. I make myself laugh way more than anyone else ever possibly could, to the point where I would repeat a joke to myself, like back when I was living by myself in college. I'd repeat a joke to myself out loud that I remembered, and then just start laughing like crazy, to the point where anyone who was in the rooms next to me would be rather concerned that I was on some of the drugs. But I am not. I have never had drugs in my life, and neither should you. Don't do drugs, kiddies. Relatable is me. This is kind of an interesting way, too, for anyone who was a previous student of mine to get the idea that, oh, wait, teachers are actual people. Because I had the thought when I was a young lad that a lot of people do at some point, that teachers don't actually exist outside of the school system. When you leave, they're just like little robots that get shut down and then reboot the very next day. But in fact, teachers are people too. Have you ever had that thought where you see your teacher out and about? Don't do drugs, kids. My favorite part. Yes, kind of the same thing of like I don't drink coffee because I'm so weird anyway that I don't want to I can't imagine what it would be like if I actually took coffee and got more energy. So everything that you're seeing here, everything that you're hearing here, this is without the aid of any kind of caffeinated beverages of any kind. Alright, so now let's go ahead and establish her head. Let's imagine that I haven't said any of those silly things that I'm never going to be able to take back. You can't have coffee, too hyper, if I'm in the right room. Yeah, I'm kind of like, have you ever seen that movie Hoodwinked? With that crazy little squirrel who goes like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Yeah, I don't want to imagine myself on caffeine either, Jordan Fluff. But yeah, that little squirrel in Hoodwinked who's like, I don't drink coffee. And then when he does drink coffee, things just go completely off the deep end. Or that squirrel from, what it was, Over the Hedge, yeah. What happens to that squirrel in Over the Hedge when he drinks coffee is that everything else just starts moving in like hyper slow motion. Okay, so we are now at the point where I need to start adding in some details to this bizarre hairstyle that Princess Yue has. So what we're going to do is she's got these hair tails. So let's plonk the jewel in. And this is one thing too that I wanted to show, is that if you see any speed drawers on YouTube, or if you see people who just pop out perfectly clean line art with the first lines that they draw, it can be discouraging because you're just like, oh, well, I'm just too messy. Well, I'm here to show you that I'm just as messy as anyone, probably messier than most other artists that I know. But the difference is I've learned to work with the scribbles that I have, and I can pick out then which scribbles are the ones that I actually want to keep for the inking that I do later on. If this is not going to be a pencil-only piece, then I see no point in trying to have perfectly clean line art when I've gotten to the point where I don't have to worry about that anymore. But if you're not at that point yet, then by all means, try to clean up your line art for yourself to make it easier for yourself when you want to come in and do any kind of inking. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure, and you don't want to do that. Don't do drugs and don't set yourself up for failure, kiddos. That's my word of advice for this chill stream. I just missed whatever someone just posted. I apologize. I have to keep flicking my gaze up here to try to catch what you guys are putting out for me. But looks like we have 4 people joining us. Hello, 4th person. Good to have you here. And hello, 3rd person. Good to have you here as well. Love how chill the chat is. Yeah, there was one person earlier, Fire Gus. He tried to make me say something naughty, and I didn't catch it until later. But luckily, I enunciate clearly enough that it didn't sound like how he wanted it to turn out. Okay, so we're doing Yue's bizarre little ear tails. No, those are ear tails. Katara has ear tails. She has this weird, like, hair flippy doodad thing. There we go. So let's go ahead and render that in, just like that. You missed drawing? You have no talent, Seth. Oh, Seth, anyone can draw. The only difference between you and me is just how often I do it. But if you want to get into drawing, there's nobody that says that says you can't. The only one that stops you from drawing is you. But if you just truly can't draw, then at the very least you can just come here and hang out with us while we all have a nice chill time. That's one thing I like to tell my students too, is that the only reason that I can do what I'm doing right here is because I have worked my rear end off to get where I am and to train myself in order to do what you can see here. Actually, Seth, were you here earlier? I did a warm-up drawing of Deadpool where he's screaming about chimichangas. When this stream is done, and it's uploaded, you should go back and check that out too. That was fun to do. Okay, looks like Yue is pretty much done. Again, this is going along the lines of just like last time with the last stream where I did Ty Lee and May, where I'm not trying to do the actual 100% true, the exact same, exact replica of what she looks like in the show, but instead I'm drawing my interpretation of her. So similar style, but just filtered a little bit more through the sensibilities of styling that I've developed over the years. There we go. Give me 1 second. There's a clanging noise in the background. Let me fix that real quick. There we go. My ceiling fan gets a little bit temperamental at times if I don't give it enough compliments. Okay. So one thing that I can always recommend any artist do is what I'm doing right now. Practice your line art. Regardless of if you want to end up doing any kind of inking or not, I would just grab any type of pen. Any pen will do. And just grab any drawing that you have, or you can even just grab like grab a photocopy of any type of drawing that you want and just practice going over the lines over and over again. And what that will do is, hang on, I need a drink. And what that will do is it will help you learn to be more confident with the strokes that you put down. Because initially what's going to happen is you're going to be very jittery and you're going to be pressing really hard. Because ink is scary. Ink is a permanent medium. When I put this line down, I can't take it back. I really can't. So if I make a mistake, then I have to be able to work with it or to just accept that I made a mistake and scrap it. And nobody wants to scrap a drawing that they've worked really, really hard on. You can see right here, for example, that actually went a little bit too far up on the inking of the head, but that's okay, because I can just compensate for that by doing something like this. Just make this go up a little bit more. And actually, I can use that opportunity to fix the line art that I had right here. There we go. So one thing that I can always recommend is that you practice your line art with ink. It can be very scary, and you're going to be pressing really hard with the pen initially. But eventually, if you practice it long enough and you take your time and more than anything, you take it easy on yourself, then you'll start to find that your line art starts to become more confident, your strokes start to become more confident and more solid, and you can be more chill about it, and you don't have to feel so stressed out about it all the time. There we go. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come back through here and do what I call accent inking. Let me show you what that means, but in just a moment, looks like Yue's initial line art is all finished up. So I'm going to give that just a few seconds to set up. And by that I mean let it dry for just a hot second. So actually what I'm doing right now is this is a kneaded eraser. I don't know if any of you know about these. Most of you, if you don't do any kind of artwork, you're probably most familiar with a normal eraser that kind of looks like this. I actually have several different types of erasers, and they do several different things. The most common one that I use is this block of just seeming like little rubber. This is called a kneaded rubber eraser. And this is really cool in terms of you can mold it to whatever size and shape that you need in order to erase. And when you're erasing with it, it doesn't leave any crumbs behind, which is really nice. But sometimes the kneaded eraser doesn't pick up every single line. So for that, you're going to want something more like a rubber eraser. I like to use this one. It's a Sumo Grip click eraser. You just push the button and it brings out the eraser. This just makes it more of a slightly more comfortable experience when it comes to erasing things. You don't need something like that. You really don't. But I like to have it because it's nice. It makes me happy. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up all of my line art. This is always one of my favorite parts, so I can actually see my actual drawing without without all the scratchy pencil strokes that I've got there. This might be one that I end up coloring on maybe another stream. But for this one, we're just going to end things off with with me teaching you a little bit about accent line art. So what I used to ink this was a 0.3 pen. So what I'm going to want to grab is a pen that is larger in terms of the nib size. Or if nothing else, I can also just use the same pen again. So why don't I actually show you how to do it with the same pen nib. I got no problem with that. So for accent inking and for accent line art, right now if you look at this, it does look fine, but it also looks very samey. Everything is the same thickness, so nothing really stands out from anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to, I'm going to start right over here on this cheek line here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly ink along the outside edge of the line that I just drew. And what that does is it thickens up the line just a bit, and it makes this line now look more kinetic, and it makes it look more interesting. You can tell now that this is much different from any of the lines around it. Of course, you don't want to do this everywhere. The sky was just dull looking. Yeah, I know what you mean. The sky was pretty bad looking when I looked out earlier today, so I decided to not look anymore. So what you can see is that this allows me to now take my line art and make it look a lot more visually interesting and make it pop just a little bit more. And all I'm doing is just coming back to the line art that I already drew. I hear the rumbles of the thunder. Looks like we're going to get another storm today. It's been nothing but rain for so long. But again, all I'm doing is I'm coming back to what I've already inked and just inking along the outside of it, going a little bit more extreme in some spots than others. So I extend the line out a little bit more in some spots. And what that does is it makes all of my line art start to pop, and it makes it start to look much more interesting and cool and much more visually appealing. You slept half the day. Oh, you're gonna have fun trying to get to bed tonight then, aren't you, OllyX? I know how you feel. I'm at that age in my life where if I take a nap during the day, then I just end up completely destroying any chance of having a quality sleep that night because I don't want to go to bed. That is my old man voice. Is it convincing? I don't think so. Now I'm gonna come through here and all I see is trees because I'm by some trees, and as you know, where there's trees, there's trees. True words were never spoken. Right, that is the kind of wisdom right up there with water is wet, because if not, then what would it be? I actually have no idea what that means. I just came up with that off the top of my head. Let me know if that means something profound or if I'm just talking out of my, keister. Then for the eyes here, I'm going to do a little bit of hatching for the background of the eyes. And then I'm going to ink in a dot right here in the middle. If I just left the eye with just this dot, then what would happen is she would look way too bug-eyed. But because I have this pattern in the background, it makes more sense than my tree TED Talk. Man, I've seen some bizarre TED Talks. They will literally let anyone do a TED Talk as long as they can talk for more than 10 minutes. I think the weirdest one I saw once was someone talking about cheese, I think is what it was. I think the TED Talk was about trees. Cheese, not trees. You got me thinking about trees now, whoever it was that talked about trees. When life gives you lemon, no. When life gives you lemons, do not make orange juice. When life gives you lemons, chuck it back at life and scream, "Why did you give me lemons?" Because really, who wants lemons? Aside from people who cook. Which I'm trying to. I'm trying to get better at cooking. Not succeeding yet, but just like anything, takes patience. I'm just going to do a little bit of detailing inside her eyes right there. Again, I don't want to go overboard with the detail on Princess Yue, because if I want to come back and color this, then it doesn't really make sense for me to go through with a lot of hatching and cross-hatching detail. But you can see again how I'm making certain parts thicker and certain parts thinner. If you make everything the exact same thickness, then you have the same problem you did before, just on a thicker scale. And any line that is supposed to be behind another one, like for example this line here, I don't want to thicken out this line because this one's in front of it, and that would ruin the idea of perspective. So as this one moves up, I'm actually going to have it fade away back into this line. Same thing here. As the line curves out, I'm going to pull it outwards and then have it fade back in. And then just come back and fill it in. Another easy way to do this too is to have a larger nibbed pen. For example, getting a 0.4 or a 0.5 and just retracing over these lines a little bit would help. But I think this strategy is more accessible to everyone because it only requires one pen. You only got to buy one. You do gotta buy one. I'm sorry, you do have to buy one pen. But you can even do this with a ballpoint pen. You don't have to get an expensive pen like the one I've got. In fact, I wouldn't recommend that anyone, when they first start out, that when anyone first starts out that you try to get the most expensive art supply out there. Because what do you do if you end up not liking how that art supply works? Well, you just wasted a lot of money, didn't you? So instead, you should grab a cheaper version of those supplies first. You should grab a cheaper version of those supplies, decide if you like them, and then gradually increase the quality of the supplies that you have as your skill increases. Because just because you get really good supplies doesn't mean that your skill in using them is automatically going to increase as well. Your skill is going to stay the same that it was before you got those supplies. Just got to remember that, because I did do that before. When life gives you trees, okay, what is going on in this chat here? I keep seeing rain and trees and oranges and apples and lemons and zippity-doo-dah, flickety-flaggy. My chat has just descended into nonsense. Ballpoint pens have their own benefits too. You can use rubbing alcohol to blend and smear the ink, which makes some cool effects. Hey, yeah, that is a really good point. See, you don't need expensive art supplies to make cool art. I've seen plenty of videos where people do just that. They use cheap supplies and they make cool effects. Maybe that's something I should do later on. Maybe that's something I can do in a later stream. I don't know. We'll see if these are popular enough. The first stream had about 5 people watching it and had during it, and then had maybe did a piece like that for all my classes. Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds really cool, honestly. That that might even be something I could do for one of my classes later on next year. Okay, people, hardy har har, trees and apples and oranges and zippity doo dah, yippity yay, my oh my, what a wonderful day. Okay, I have to stop. Don't want to do more detail than that. But I'm going to pull back a little bit just so you can see the overall Princess Yue and how she ended up. I think she turned out pretty good, especially since I'm doing this on camera. Don't get any breaks in between. Don't get any cuts or any edits. I think she turned out all right. I will wait and color her on another stream, but the storm is starting to get pretty intense here. The storm is starting to get pretty intense here. My doggie is getting a little bit scared. She doesn't like storms very much at all, so I'm actually going to go ahead and call this stream here, ladies and gents. Thank you all very much for joining. Oh, you're heading into that storm? I hope you guys are all right. Safe travels to anyone who's traveling right now or will be traveling this weekend. Thank you all for tuning in to watching me draw Princess Yue and if you were there from the beginning, you saw this little Deadpool sketch card I did. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you everyone who stuck around for the entire stream or who joined in when they saw that some weirdo on YouTube was broadcasting way too late at night. Stay safe, everyone. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. I'm going to try to do another stream next Friday or Saturday. I'll have it scheduled out just like I did this time. Because you're going home, the storm is there. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for stopping by. This has been Mr. S. Have a safe and wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.